Hello, you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 159. WXV is here. We've already had results from round one of WXV 2, WXV 3. Italy beat Japan. Scotland beat South Africa. USA were triumphant over Samoa. Fiji took on Colombia. Big win for Fiji. Big win for Ireland over Kazakhstan as well. And Spain beat Kenya. But WXV 1 rolls into town this weekend. Hugely exciting. And no better way to celebrate that than having a guest co-presenter on with us. Red Roses star Sadia Kabeya is going to join us today and hopefully through the WXV. Sadia, thank you so much for joining us. How the devil are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm very good. Very good. I'm feeling fresh today. So.
Good. Where are we at with the injury? Because you're supposed to be in New Zealand, but did you step on the... Don't tell me you went all the way to New Zealand to get into the first session and then came back.
No, fortunately not. I missed out on that long haul flight, but I basically had a setback in the last week before I was supposed to fly out. I have a hamstring injury, tore my hamstring at the start of pre-season. We've been working on that, and I was set to get on the plane. And yeah, in the last week, basically had a setback, which has added more weeks than we expected onto my injury. So yeah, just going through the plan again, but I'm third way through now, so just getting used to it.
So not long away from coming back and getting back into the action.
Hopefully, in the grand scheme of things, planning to be back for the Prem.
So WXV, have you been in contact with anyone over there? I know you're particularly friendly with Maud Muir.
Yes, had a few chats with Maud and some of the girls out there, but I think they're so busy. when you go abroad, on tour, the schedule is jam packed, but they're really drawn out there, and the training seems to be going really well. So.
And obviously you're out there not so long ago. Did you enjoy your time in the land of the long white cloud?
No, yeah, I love my time in New Zealand. Particularly, I love the food. I think that's the thing that I was most gutted about not going, as I wasn't able to go to the restaurants that I went to last time, and of course playing. But yeah, last time I was there, really enjoyed it and loved the shopping in Auckland too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful old country, geographically absolutely stunning, isn't it? Look, WXV is upon us. WXV 2 and WXV 3. WXV 1 starts this weekend. All of those games on Rugby Pass TV on World Rugby. Your England and Wales games, I should say. I'll just put my teeth back in. Are on ITVX here in the UK. And considering the lateness of the schedules and the fixtures, fair play to ITV to putting those out there. We are going to speak to the South African camps. Babalwa Latsha is coming on the pod later on, which I'm really, really excited about. But initially, Teddy, I just wanted to get your sort of thoughts on WXV. Obviously, you're in camp with the Red Roses. And perhaps we'll talk about the sort of freshness and the newness of the Red Roses setup. But in terms of WXV, where are the excitement levels? Is it, it's another tournament? Or is it, do you know what? This is where it's at. We're playing the best teams in the world. It's going to be year on year. This is the future of women's rugby right here.
No, 100%. It's definitely a really special tournament. And there's a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz around it. Not even from a personal point of view, from the fact that there's going to be an international tournament for multiple nations at one time. It's not just the top 5 nations in the world or 3 in the autumn internationals. It's loads of countries performing, able to put different countries' flair and different countries' styles on the map. It's not just always the same styles that you're seeing. So for a women's rugby point of view, it's amazing. And also for being in it, it's so good to be able to, go to different countries and play different teams. And you only get better from that. And I think for us, that's how it's so exciting. But then it's also exciting because we know what it's going to do for the women's game.
Yeah, 100%. We look at the countries that are taking part. It's truly global. And yes, if you want to grow the game, then this is certainly a really, really good way to start doing that fully across the globe. But let's get into WXV now. Babalwa Latsha is on the pod now. It is a huge honour and privilege, pleasure to have the South African women's captain with us, Babalwa Latsha. How are you? You're looking very almost regal there.
I suppose it's the air around me. I don't know, but yeah, great to see you and great to be with you on your show today.
How are you enjoying WXV? How much fun is it having these teams coming to your backyard, playing at that last little ground in Stellenbosch, and obviously moving to Cape Town on the weekend? How is WXV2 on the ground?
Well, it's really incredible for us as a nation to be able to host the world to our shores, or to welcome the world to our shores. There's all around excitement in our communities, just all around about the WXV competition. I think we feel that energy, we feel the excitement, as well, with our communities, with our people, with our nation, because these are the people that we represent every time we get to don a Springbok jersey. So we appreciate their support and we love their support. And I must say that this competition has just taken women's rugby in South Africa to a whole different level.
Oh, okay. So there's a sense on the ground, because it's great timing, isn't it? And a lot of things in life are about timing. You had a young lady who we know particularly well here in the UK come across and start to shake things up a little bit in her very, very classy way that she does in Lynn Cantwell. And a lot of other things happening around, and WXV is sort of just tapped into that. Is it you just sort of feel like you're riding a crest of a wave at the moment?
Yeah, it's actually quite important that we ride those types of waves. And there's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that, because what we want is to grow women's sport at a rapid rate. And I think that post World Cup, there's been a lot of development on our part, and just with women's rugby globally, in terms of how teams have sort of stepped up, and systemically as well, how much development has happened. With us here in South Africa, we've had the privilege of having Lynn Cantwell come over as our high performance manager, and things have improved since then. And we really are globally, as women's rugby, really are on an upward trajectory, and that's really great to experience, honestly.
Yeah, I keep describing her as a sort of high priestess or sort of wizard, in sort of, because she seems to be sort of just making spells and making things happen over there, whether it be your sevens team that's just qualified for the Olympics, whether you're hosting teams, whether you're coming over, the Barbarians are over there, the league is getting some traction with television and what have you. It's just fantastic. And how much? No, it's a silly question, but I feel I've got to ask it anyway. You've been around that squad for quite some time now, and one of the most high profile, if not the most high profile player within the squad. You've seen some dark times. Just on a personal level, do you have to pinch yourself once in a while and look yourself in the mirror and go, "Wow, this is really happening from where we were even 2-3 years ago, let alone 10-15 years ago"?
I feel that our system, more than anything, has grown, which then ultimately creates an environment where individuals can grow, which in the bigger scheme of things, the team as a collective are then able to be in a place where they too can grow. If I must look back from when I started, things like professional contracts were unheard of. Today, in our 15 setup, we're able to say that we have contracted players. Playing abroad was unheard of professionally, here in South Africa. And to have been one of the first, the first woman in the whole of Africa to do that shows that, in fact, we're headed in the right direction. And since then, we went from one person playing professional rugby overseas to 5 now South African women playing rugby overseas, which again points us in the right direction. And I'm honored to still be part of this amazing group of women, this amazing system, and to be able to share special moments as well. Perhaps, look at myself in the mirror and actually say that, hey, look, we've come this far. And yes, we may have a bit of a long way to go, but we've come a long way as well. And the future is so bright for us.
Yeah, 100%. That leads us kind of almost quite neatly onto WXV in sort of slightly more detail. This first tournament or round of tournaments across the 1, 2, and 3 probably were never going to be perfect, and let's put the sort of the bumps in the road aside. But the plane is off the tarmac and going in the right direction. Give us your assessment of that first round game against Scotland for us.
Well, that game was a bit of a hard one, especially the end result for me, because I had all the faith that we were going to take that one. But I must give all the credits to my team who fought tooth and nail and just letting the game slip away from us in the dying minutes of the game. I felt that Scotland also put us through our paces properly, especially by challenging our set pieces. But what a fantastic game, what a fantastic challenge, and that is what we want, really. We want to be challenged. We want to bring in crowds. We want to bring women's rugby to places like Stellenbosch and Athlone and things of the nature. But the energy right now in camp is that we've put that game to bed, and we look forward to the next one.
So you move on to Italy, who are actually ranked higher than Scotland. They had a good win against Japan. It was a bit of revenge from a warm-up game for them. What are you expecting from the Italians?
Well, the focus primarily is on ourselves and how we want to play and what we need to do. Of course, we've had a look at Italy. They present a slightly different challenge from what Scotland did, and perhaps what Samoa will and have in our warm-up game against them. So I think right now I'm confident to say that we have our ducks in a row, and we know exactly what we need to do on our part against Italy.
So and then Samoa at the is your third and final game. Did you set goals before this tournament started? And if so, can you let us in on a couple of them? And are you achieving them? Is it about results? Is it about performance? Is it about growth, or a combination of a few facets?
Well, I could say that it is a combination of a few facets. Of course, winning is great. We want to win. That's why we play competitive sports. Ultimately, we want a good result. However, we understand that there's a process to getting there. There's a process to that. And our focus is more on the process than the end result. So, yes, we want to win, like I say. However, we are also aware that we need to be in the process, get stuck in the process, and do the process right in order for the wins and the results to take care of themselves. And considering where we are as a nation in terms of women's rugby, it's great that we are able to tick off a couple of boxes in terms of our growth and development. However, we also are aware that there are certain things that need to be done in order for us to fast track that process and also to get the type of results that we need.
You do indeed. Final question, because I know you've got to go off and get some treatment ahead of the game. How much are you enjoying captaincy? Do you and Sadia Kabeya drop the odd little text to each other? Good luck at the weekend.
You know what? Actually, the Springbok men and women have sort of developed a good siblinghood type of a relationship. We've sent them a video this afternoon wishing them all the best against England in their semi-final. And from time to time, when we have a game coming up, they will do the same type of a thing. So I've honestly grown to love the leadership role. I think it goes further than just making decisions on the pitch. It's really about, for me personally, it's also about how we portray women's rugby in the country, how we are able to be the voices of positivity and to create a sense in young women, especially, that they too can aspire to be professional rugby players, and that truly the world is their oyster. They should just go about pursuing their dreams fearlessly and boldly as well. So the long and short is I've grown to embrace the leadership position and the challenges that come with it. And no, I do not text Sadia Kabeya. I wish I did.
Well, do you know what? Look, I know our time is up, and I thank you hugely for it today. I'm utterly inspired, I have to say, and I'm having commentated on a few World Cups, Women's World Cups, and all the way back in 2010 and what have you. I'm just delighted where women's rugby is in South Africa, and somebody like yourself has driven that forward for many years. So thank you very much from Women's Rugby to you. Go well at the weekend against Italy. Thank you for inspiring, and thank you so much for your time, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and allowing us on your platform.
I'm Lynn Cantwell, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Great to have Babalwa Latsha on the pod. She's been a superstar down in South Africa, and it's certainly a country that is growing all the time. And they will be, I think, pleased with the 31-17 loss to Scotland, weren't they? Scotland were very powerful with the driving maul, those sort of details. Lana Skeldon picking up a couple of tries. Lisa Thompson wrapping things up at the death with a very nice line, but 31-17 against an established big name. That's a good result for South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're one of the teams who are just going from strength to strength recently. I remember them coming into an England camp to play against us maybe 2 years ago now, and to see how far they've come in that short space of time, and they're really putting themselves on the map at the moment. And I think they have a style of rugby that no one else plays, so it's exciting to see where they can go, and also frightening for the rest of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Those other results from WXV2 or the Danny Craven Stadium in Stellenbosch. Italy were victorious at 28-15 over Japan in the first ever WXV game. Revenge, because those two played each other in a warm-up a couple of weeks back, and Italy lost by a point. Beatrice Strigoni, instrumentals, try scorer, set one up. How difficult is she to play against, and what is she like off the field?
I mean, Beatrice Strigoni, she's a name everyone knows. Anytime we play Italy, anyone with analysing, she's always in that group. She's just such a unpredictable player. She's got a load of tricks, in her bank, and to bring them out at any time. And I think she has the ability to really, change how her team plays. So, she's a really good player, but she's definitely someone you have to look out for.
She certainly is. USA Samoa ended 36-26 to USA. Lottie Clapp on the score sheet, Kate Zachary, Rachel Johnson. USA pulled away in that third quarter. And then Samoa really came back in that last 20. Again, USA, regular rugby that they've been playing. That's a good scoreline. These are tight games, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are really tight games, and it's really entertaining to watch and to see, especially with these new teams playing. You don't know what they're going to come and bring out. I mean, you mentioned all those names, very, very common names in the PWR, people who we're used to playing against, and Kate Zachary, a woman who always leads from the front, is always same as Beatrice, bringing out tricks out of her bag, and can always turn something from a slow moment into something super exciting. And I think we saw that in that game. But yeah, it's great to have all these tight games, and it's really, from someone as a spectator now, it's so exciting.
And I guess in the WXV2s and WXV3, each country is going to be looking to achieve different things, and the success will look very differently for each team. But yeah, the likes of USA that sort of knocking on that door to that very top table, aren't they? But actually, they often come the wrong side of results, and actually to get some wins and those in and around them, these are all very winnable games for Kate Zachary's side, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think USA, we've seen for the past couple of years, they have like all these amazing players, and it just seems sometimes doesn't click at the moment in the time, but it seems like now everything's coming together, everything's clicking, the parts are falling where they need to. So that's really exciting to see for a team like USA, because similar to the likes of South Africa and Fiji, they have a really exciting style that they play. So to see that finally coming together is really exciting.
It certainly is. Moving on to WXV3. All of these results, excuse me, are the Sevens Stadium in Dubai. Fiji against Colombia. Big win for Fiji with 11 tries. But fair play to Colombia. Remember they played Scotland, didn't they, in those qualification games for the World Cup. But didn't give up, and they scored their solitary try in the 81st minute in that one. Ireland were rampant against Kazakhstan, notching up 17 tries in a 109-0 win, inspired by their Sevens players, Bevan Parsons and Eve Higgins, who both scored 4 tries each. They will be, you can almost hear the collective sigh of relief that Ireland have got themselves a victory, can't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Ireland, they're a really strong team, but they've been quite unlucky over the past couple of years. And obviously, having a new coach come in, I think everyone was quite intrigued to see how they're going to do. And obviously, for them, getting a really big win, first game out since Six Nations, yeah, it must be a huge sigh of relief for them. But I think secretly, a lot of neutral spectators are like, oh, they've got that win that they definitely do deserve, because they have a really strong squad. So it'll be interesting to see how they build on it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Sevens players, they are a different team with the likes of Bevan Parsons and Eve Higgins, who both very slippery customers, even for a tackling monster like yourself.
No, definitely. I've fortunately not come up against Bevan Parsons or any of their Sevens girls, because I think I would poo my pants. But I think, yeah, for any opposition, their Sevens girls are quite a task to deal with.
What's Scott Beeman gonna bring to that Irish setup, Sadia?
I think he'll bring a lot of directness. He knows what he wants. He has like clear plans, and it's probably been quite a breath of fresh air for Ireland, because they probably now have steps and a plan to follow and small goals along the way. So I think he'll be really good for them in that sense, allowing them to, build slowly over the next coming years.
Yeah, I spoke to him last week. Interesting chat, and quite honest from Scotty last week. So if you haven't listened to that, then do listen back to last week's episode. Spain, Kenya, the Spaniards raced out of the block, scoring their first 2 tries within the opening 10 minutes. Kenya steadied the ship, but only going to be one winner in the end. 32-0 finished to Spain. Spain are another team I think everybody's got to keep their eye on. And Kenya again, very much emerging. I know the seven squad is particularly strong, but it must be great seeing the likes of Spain and Kenya challenging in this new tournament.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like, see all these different teams playing who we wouldn't have had a chance to see or have a chance to see their results. It's just great to see for expanding on this game, but also it adds more competition, it adds more people who are going to come into the limelight, new superstars. So yeah, it's really, really exciting.
And the other thing about it is it's shop window, isn't it? Because we are moving towards clubs beginning to put some money towards paying players and what have you. And there's an element of shop window to all of this as well.
Definitely, I think we've seen it after the World Cup, especially. We've had a load of South Africans coming over, particularly the number 8 who's just joined, who is an amazing new signing for them. But yeah, putting these new players on the map, having other teams, from the UK and the PWR, be able to see these new talent and potentially give them opportunity, to come over. We've seen it with the Americans who've come over, and I'm sure they bring back all that expertise, flair back to USA, and that helps them in their international game as well. So yeah, it's definitely good for the game too.
Now, sorry, the more we do this, you know that I have a little grumble once in a while. It's normally reasonably well researched and well grounded, but just a note on the broadcast side. I just don't think it's right to use WXV as some sort of commentary training ground. It's a new tournament where whether the Men's World Cup is going on or not. There's lots of eyes on and such a lack of knowledge in the women's game, including just even simple names and stuff. There's a real sense of just throwing it together, those who might be around locally, so you don't have to pay travel and what have you. But I suspect if there was an MXV, I suspect that the best commentators and those most appropriate would be called in to call those games. Not called to an audio booth in Madrid to call a game in Dubai. I just don't think it's acceptable, and it's another way that the women's game is treated differently to the men's. No criticism of the broadcasters themselves. There's lots of energy there, and if you get asked to do a gig, you do it as a freelancer. I know that all too well, but it's a real shame because we're at the top of that hill. We've got to push over the top of the hill commercially, but the floating voters are the ones we need to attract. And when it sounds and looks appalling, it really doesn't help. But grumble over. I'm certainly not going to ask you to comment on that. But very, very frustrating.
I'm Alicia Butchers, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Round 1 of WXV starts this Saturday.
Yes, round 1 from Wellington starts this Friday. England versus Australia, 7 p.m. local time, 7 a.m. home time, and ITVX will be showing those games.
They will indeed be showing that one. England's selection is out. Let's ask you about that to begin with. The eye is immediately drawn to the back row with a couple of fetches in there. What's your take on the Red Roses team?
Red Roses always have strength in numbers in our squad, so we have the ability to change our squad quite a bit. Obviously, we have Daisy Hibbert-Jones on the bench set to get her first cap. Maisie Allen starting at 6, and Alex Matthews back into the frame at number 8, with a few jigs in the background as well, Helena rolling at 15. So I think a lot of it is gaining that confidence, and we have loads of talented players, but they need to get that game time, they need to get that confidence in new positions. Obviously, WXP being a free game tournament, we want to make sure that if anything, there are any changes, we have strength to put people in different positions. So yeah, I think from a spectator's point of view, it's a different team to what people might be used to seeing, with big names like Sarah Byrne, Ellie Kildan missing, but it doesn't change anything about the strength and depth of the team. But it's definitely exciting to see how these new combinations start to work.
I couldn't agree with you more. Helena Rowland at 15 is just but past number 8, she could probably do a job in most of those shirts, couldn't she?
Yeah.
Wonderfully talented player that she is. So I really like the look of Tatiana Hurd and Meg Jones in the centres.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to really work.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Tat being a really powerful hard carrier, Meg being a stepper, bringing her sevens flair in. Those two, I feel like, will work, off each other's strengths really well. So that'll be exciting to see.
We do have to talk about the new kid on the block, Maisie Allen. I was down at training before one of the Canada games, and a lot of players talk about her output in training and her being, sort of standout type player. Does that fuel the fire? Are you pleased for her, or where do your emotions sit? Obviously, you're vying for the same kind of position.
Maisie is a great player. She's been on the scene for a while now. I did under 18 sevens with her as well. So she is a very typical out and out 7, and she's really good at being out and out 7. And like you say, in training, she is just everywhere, bringing out, random kicks or little steps here and there, little jinks, and she is really, really talented in attack. For me, I think it's always great to have that new competition, and I think I've learned really well from Marley when I first came in that she took me as someone who was going to push her game, and that's how I'm taking any new back row coming into camp. I think we're all at a point now where we know our different strengths and our weaknesses, and being able to push on from what our strengths are, but then learning from the new people around us about where we can get better is great. And I think I've quite missed out on being in training and being training around Maisie and Daisy, because I thrive on that competition. So yeah, there's no bad blood, bad blood there at all. I think it's been a long time coming since she's supposed to get her first cap. So yeah.
Meanwhile, Marnie Packer's out there with a sniper rifle. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Of course, I'm absolutely and utterly joking. The England captain is there in the 7 shirt. Just talk to us briefly about Australia and the opposition that they are. Dallinger, the new 10 has impressed somewhat, but you would have played against a few of those, Caitlin Leaneys and the like for club and country. What sort of dangers do they possess for the Red Roses?
Yeah, so we obviously played Australia in the World Cup in that very extremely rainy game. And
Water polo,
they're a
water
team,
polo game.
the water polo game, the game that was played underwater. Yeah, they're a team who have strengths all across the field. Their forwards are kind of like backs, and some of their backs are kind of like forwards. So you always have to expect the unexpected with them. I think for us, we're definitely going in focusing on ourselves and focusing on what we can do in attack, but obviously being aware of their threats. And obviously they've got a new 10, new threats that we haven't necessarily seen, but obviously with a few of their players being over in PWR, we know what they can bring with the likes of Caitlin Leaney, the likes of Chance being in there too. There's always a bit of that friendly rivalry because I know you're going to step this way, or I know you're going to carry this way. So I think a lot of the girls are looking forward to this game.
Great stuff. I'm not going to ask you for a prediction. That's not fair when it's actually your team. So that's first up. That's first up on Friday. England, Australia. 7 a.m. here in the UK, ITVX. On Saturday, if you're a particularly early riser, 4 a.m. for Canada against Wales. That's ITVX at S4C. Fair play, S4C, for getting that out as well. Wales, you're guessing they're just going to continue to improve and move on forwards from where they were at the World Cup? You hope, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Wales are one of those teams that they are also building up. They've been building pretty solidly since the World Cup. Coming through the Six Nations and now to WXV, and obviously playing a team like Canada, who are definitely a well-established team. They've been playing well. Obviously, their last game against England, they definitely power fight and showed what they can do. So I think for Wales, they'll be definitely raring to go, thinking they can get their teeth into Canada. So hopefully that bit of rivalry will bring out the best in them too.
While you're here, and this is exactly the reason why we got you in. What's it like to play against Alicia Butchers and Alex Callender, please?
I've never actually played against. Well, I've played against Alicia Butchers, but I think I was in Richmond when I was 18. But Alex Callender, I mean, she's a typical back row, a typical back row who likes to be a nuisance, likes to be around the breakdown everywhere, in everyone's ears, which, it works. It works. It gets under the opposition's skin sometimes. And off the pitch, I'm sure she is a lovely girl, but on the pitch, she is definitely, a nuisance. A number 7, in a ball.
And do you therefore talk about that kind of stuff, but before the game? Do you make a comment that these girls really try and get under the skin and what have you? Let's make sure we don't rise to debate and what have you. It must be quite difficult for the likes of. I'm not going to name any names, but Poppy Cleo, no. And these kind of Poppy, no offense. These kind of players. Is it spoken about pre-game?
It's never made a big deal of. It's probably normally very hush talk, maybe in small groups, but particularly when we come against teams like Wales, who they're a team who thrives on like passion and small wins and making the best of small moments. We are aware of that, and we always say like we need to either match the energy or don't take any notice to it, because sometimes it can affect different people's games in different ways. But it's never like a headline or something going in, but it's definitely spoken about in small.
And Canada, the score level between that first test, as you mentioned, compared to the second test, fun enough, when these incredibly good athletes, incredibly good rugby players come together and are able to come together, they perform really well. This is a really, really tough game. I mean, Sophie de Goody, I rate as a human being, as a rugby player, incredibly highly. But this is going to be real tooth and nail game, Canada Wales, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I for one, I'm very excited to see it and see the score at the end. But yeah, Canada, they're a team who's going from strength to strength. They've always been there at the top, but I think the more time they spend together, um, the better their results have been. So now with them having a couple more weeks together and a bit more time, to train and to bond and to analyze other teams, it's going to be really, really exciting, quite frightening to see what they can do with this WXB period. And obviously they have like you said, a team of loads and loads of talented players. Some players who play over here in the PWR and some players who are in Canada. But when they come together, like we've seen against us, they can really be a force to reckon with. So to have two teams who are, really growing at the moment, going against each other, it's going to be good.
It certainly is, and it all rounds off that first weekend with the hosts, New Zealand facing France in a rerun of last year's semi-final. And if Caroline Drouin had had her kicking boots with her, it would have been a different final. So you're expecting another tight one for the New Zealand France. We should just give you the details. 7 a.m. here in the UK. That's on Rugby Pass TV. But that's going to be very, very tight, despite a few changes in the French ranks.
Yeah, no, I still think it's going to be a very, very tight game. There's definitely going to be, lots of feelings, different feelings from both camps, and wanting to prove themselves. Obviously, after that semi-final, and France and New Zealand, super strong teams. And like you said, there's a few changes in the French camp, but I think the French team are a team that have strength throughout their whole squad, and they play a game where anyone who comes in is able to slot in quite easily, because they do have these established players who always bring the flair and bring the team up. So that'll be really exciting to see. And obviously New Zealand, they play a type of rugby everyone likes to watch. And France and New Zealand play quite a different type of game. So it's interesting when they come up against each other, because some of their strengths come out and then some of their weaknesses come out that we haven't seen before, because they bring it out of each other. So yeah, it's going to be a nail biter. I definitely think it's going to be another close game.
I agree with you. Come on then. Canada Wales, who wins?
I'm going to go Canada.
Ooh. Don't go over the Severn Bridge in the next couple of months. New Zealand against France.
I think I'm going to go France.
I'm with you. And purely because I'm just gutted for them at the Men's World Cup hosting it and then being out.
Yeah.
The French rugby could do with a little boost, because they put on a wonderful show in France, and I'm a little bit gutted, because it's almost written in the stars, wasn't it? But there you are, WXV1. Let's remind you, Friday 7 a.m. here in the UK, England, Australia, 4 a.m. on Saturday for Canada Wales, ITVX and S4C for that one, and then on Rugby Pass TV on Saturday, round things off with France against New Zealand.
So WXV2 in Cape Town all kicks off on Friday with USA against Scotland.
That's a hell of a game to start it off, isn't it, Sadia? That's 2 p.m. local time, so that's we're an hour behind here in the UK, so that's 1 p.m. here in the UK. Rugby Pass TV for all of these WXV2 games. That's a really tight one, isn't it? Scotland, good victory last weekend, as did USA. Where's that one going?
I don't know if I can call it, to be honest, and I feel a bit bad calling it, because loads of my Loughborough teammates are playing in that
There's a
game,
lot of Loughborough teammates in there in the Scotland camp, isn't there?
Yeah, and as well as the USA as well. So it will be, I think it's going to be a
draw.
A draw maybe. A draw maybe. I think there's going to be a lot of turns. I think it could be a lot of back and forth, try for try, penalty for penalty. But I think it's going to be a game of a lot of passion. Scotland being a team who drive and self passion, and USA being exactly the same. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very tight game.
And Scotland in that South Africa victory last weekend did the sensible things. If there's an area that these emerging nations, tier 2, tier 3, whatever you want to call them, it's those nuts and bolts on the technicalities. Just those months and months, years and years and years of working on that kind of stuff, whether it be club or country, those areas are going to get better. And they tightened the game with a driving maul, Scotland, last weekend. Tactically, they seem right up there. But this is going to be one huge physical battle, and Scotland need to be mentally and physically in the right place, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we saw last week against South Africa that also being a huge physical battle. They probably know a little bit of what to expect. But like you say, around their drive and more, that's becoming one of their big strengths of the team. And I think, teams now feel like if they do get a penalty in the 22, they know what Scotland are going to do. And teams are probably preparing for that. But it's definitely going to be a big physical battle. USA have huge ball carriers in their front line, in their back line too. So yeah, it's definitely something Scotland will need to have prepared for.
They will indeed. At 3:30 p.m. that's UK time, Italy take on the hosts South Africa. It's like contrast of styles there. South Africa will be very route one, and as Italy showed from last weekend, there's some ambition to play some rugby with some width.
I personally love watching both of these two teams. I love watching South Africa's route one approach. A lot of it is done grimacing or through my hands because of how brutal these collisions are, because of the sheer strength these women have, and obviously with Italy being a team who like to see the space a bit more and get the ball wide and go in behind. I think it'll be good to see how these two teams match up against each other.
You can give us a prediction on that one then.
I think it could go either way, but I'm going to say South Africa.
But isn't that mad? Even, I mean, 24 months ago, if you said Italy had taken on South Africa, there's no thought. It's Italy win every day of the week. That's the emergence of South African rugby. We just spoke about it briefly at the top. It's just extraordinary. Lynn Cantwell, you are a wizardess of high wizardess, priestess, whatever you want to call her. But just
is a legend.
Oh, just doing amazing stuff. Come on then. Anyway, Italy, South Africa.
I can't call a score, but I do think South Africa are gonna come away with the win.
I'm going Italy. Sorry, Lynn. On Saturday, sees Japan and Samoa go head-to-head 3 p.m. here in the UK. And all these WXV2 games, as we say, are on Rugby Pass TV. If you're struggling with that, then just go to World Rugby, and it's easy enough to get in there. Again, that's going to be a really, really tight fixture, and that's the whole idea of WXV, right?
Yeah, and exactly. And to see these games where you can't decide who's going to win, or you don't know what's going to happen, it only engages viewers more. And to go into a game and to just be fixated on what type of rugby they're going to play, or what they're going to bring out the bag. It's a great feeling. It's a great time. It's a great time for the game. But yeah, I don't really know what to expect, to be honest.
So just to remind you of those WXV2 fixtures, all the Athlone Stadium, Sports Stadium in Cape Town, Friday, USA against Scotland, 1 p.m. here in the UK, and 3:30, Italy take on SA, and then on Saturday, Japan against Samoa, 3 p.m. here in the UK.
Kazakhstan and Kenya kick off round 2 of WXV3 in Dubai.
Yeah, they do, in the desert. And they're playing these games later on in the day, obviously. So it's 5 p.m. local time out in Dubai, which is 2 p.m. here in the UK. Late in the evening, Spain and Fiji lock horns at 7:30 local, 4:30 here in the UK for that one. And on Saturday, 2 p.m. in the UK, Ireland take on Colombia. Again, all of these on Rugby Pass TV. Kazakhstan, Kenya, again, you think that's going to be fairly evenly matched, and two teams who'll excuse me, want to bounce back from round one.
Yeah, definitely. Two, teams who are up and coming, trying to master their craft at the moment. So it'll be very, very interesting to see them go head to head. And I think, we don't know what to expect on what they can do. So yeah, it'll be really
difficult for Kenya as well, because they've got the sevens team out as well. And if they're anything like Ireland, you'd rely on those sevens players. Same with South Africa. We'll come to that bit of news around sevens a little bit later in the show. But yeah, Kazakhstan trying to get back to former glories. They were one of the front runners of women's rugby many moons ago. Spain and Fiji. I mean, I was impressed by Spain. Anyone that had Patricia Garcia in the team for many a year. I know she's just retired now, but she's going to have imparted some really good knowledge. I did a couple of Spain games in the European Championship the last season. They're a good side. That they'll trouble Fiji.
And I think they both, Fiji and Spain, both like to play quite a bit of a throw around rugby style as well. So to have them two both go, head to head. Obviously Fiji, they can kind of do it all. They can do the straight running game, and they can do the game where they're going over the top, or they like to keep the ball alive. But I think Spain definitely with Patricia Garcia now overseeing them, and their new camp training and how they played last week. I think it'll be a good match. It'll be a good match.
Yeah, thoroughly looking forward to that. And then Ireland take on Colombia. Look, with the best will in the world, we are expecting a pretty decent win for Ireland. It's almost exactly what they want, isn't it? Almost sort of contested training runs. Get some confidence back.
Yeah, no, definitely in the most in the most respectful way possible. I think these games are the chance for them to really put what they've been training and put what they've been doing in training to the test, and see how good they can be against different opposition. Not necessarily being tested to the highest level, but it shouldn't make a difference to how they come out and play. So yeah, it's definitely what they want.
That's not where Ireland want to be. Clearly, they want to be two and pushing for one, really. But in terms of a new coach and hopefully sort of a fresh chapter turned, we know all about the tumultuous nature of the Ireland Women's program for the last few years. But it's not a bad way to start. Get some wins, get some plays, get some players scoring some tries. All good for the rugby soul. Sadia, comment predictions for WXV3 Kazakhstan Kenya. Oof.
I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be a pretty high scoring game, but I'm gonna go Kenya coming away with the win.
I'm with you. Spain Fiji.
I think it's gonna be a tight game, but I'm gonna go with Fiji as the winners.
I'm gonna go Spain.
Yeah.
Ireland Colombia. I think with greatest respect we'll both go Ireland, will we?
Yeah.
Indeed, we will. Let's bring you up to date with all of the rest of the news from around the oval world. South Africa only hosting WXV2, but competing in it as well. But they booked their place at the 2024 Paris Olympics after winning the African qualifier in Tunisia over the weekend. This is not the first time the side have qualified for the Olympics. It's unbelievable. They did so in 2016 and 2020, only to be denied their place by their own National Olympic Committee. Don't ask me why. I don't know, and I don't actually want to go there. It's just quite extraordinary. This time the support has been there for the NOC, which is great to hear. In the final, they beat Kenya. It was a tight one, 12-7, after earlier getting past Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda and Tunisia. This has come after Renfred Dezel's side secured course status to the HSB Sevens series after winning the Challenger Series in Stellenbosch. So Sevens, 15s, just all looking up for South African women's rugby.
Yeah, and keeping on to the Sevens, Japan have won the Asian Sevens series by winning the second leg of the series after being triumphant in the first leg in August in Korea. It was 29-5. It was in the final over Hong Kong. China were third, Thailand were fourth, and then Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines finished eighth.
Staying with sevens, a week or so back, Argentina won the South America sevens for the first time in Paraguay. Congratulations to them. They did it undefeated, getting past Colombia, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Peru, and Brazil. Brazil were runners up. Lots of new faces on show. Chile were third, the Paraguay fourth, and Colombia and Chile a fifth. We've been all really positive around this podcast and WXV and what's not to be positive about, but we have to reflect on all the news and some really, really sad news, Sadia, this week, that Worcester Warriors are effectively at the moment no longer. Always best to read the statements rather than using your own words. So the owners of Warriors Women at Cube International have today notified the RFU and the PWR, so this was on Tuesday, recording today, Thursday, of their intention to withdraw from the Alliance Premier Women's Rugby and Alliance Cup. Andy Master, founder at Cube International, said it has been our privilege to support Worcester Warriors Women last season. Despite their best efforts, we have had to make the emotional, challenging decision to withdraw from the league. We have confirmed to players and coaching staff we will honour their salaries and expenses from September through to October. Belinda Moore, Premiership Women's Rugby CEO, said we are deeply disappointed for staff, players and fans and applaud the hard work and dedication of those at the club and their supporters who have helped Worcester Women's to continue. The RFU and PWR are working closely with all parties to establish a support fund for staff and players. The first thing to say is the women's rugby community is here for you. Worcester Women's players, staff, coaches, whoever it may be. But it's just desperately sad news, Sadia.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely devastating, and I think it's just as much of a shock to the rugby community as it is to Worcester. And I can't help but feel feel for the girls there with everything they went through last year, getting back into the league, and seem to be going strong. And so yeah, for that whole the whole club and everything that's happened, they can only be there for them. I mean, it must be a really tough time for the players and staff and coaches alike. So.
And all that went on with the, as you say, with the men's side and struggling through that and working your way through, and they found this combination. And I spoke to Joe, who was utterly exhausted. Joe Yap, the director of rugby, utterly exhausted, but really, really positive about the future and to come back post pre-season. We've had some cup games already. That the league is a couple of weeks away. To pull the rug from underneath their feet, and they don't talk about a 10-year deal. I don't know the details, and therefore it's very, very dangerous to start talking and speculating, whatever. But it seems like really, really, really poor form. Really poor form from Cube International. These are people's livelihoods and mortgages to pay and all the rest of it. We will, over the next week, I will try and get a reaction from Cube International and try and deep dive into exactly what's gone on. And we have put some feelers out to Joe Yap and what have you in the Worcester camp, just to say, we're here and anything we can do. And if you want to tell your side of the story, of course we're here. We will try to tell both sides as ever. But yeah, just desperately sad for Worcester and the supporters, because they're a great bunch. Really great bunch. Anyway, now we've dropped the mood right down. Sadia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Looking forward to WXV. Are you going to be up bright and early to watch England take on the Wallaroos?
Well, I've set my alarm, so if I awake, then I will be. Yeah.
Well, let's just remind ladies and gentlemen of the fixtures of WXV 1, 2, and 3 this weekend. So from Wellington, it all starts on Friday. England, Australia, 7 a.m. Just going to do UK times, for our international listeners. Local time, 7 p.m., but 7 a.m. here in the UK on ITVX. Saturday, At 4 a.m, Wales take on Canada to round things off. New Zealand against France. That's 7 a.m. on the Saturday. WXV 2 from Cape Town on the Friday. USA against Scotland. 1 p.m. here in the UK. 3:30 p.m. Italy take on the host South Africa. And then on Saturday, Japan go up against Samoa. 3 p.m. In 3 from Dubai, Kazakhstan against Kenya. 2 p.m. here in the UK. Later that evening, Spain against Fiji. 4:30. And then Saturday, 2 o'clock, Ireland take on Colombia. Rugby Pass TV for all those games. For England and Wales games here in the UK, it's ITVX and S4C for those Wales games as well. Sadia, thank you so much for hosting with us today. Have you enjoyed it?
Of course. Oh, I've had a great time.
As much as you can enjoy an hour or two with in my company, it's not the best thing to do on a Thursday morning. I know that. So can we book you in for next week?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy WXV kicking off this weekend. WXV 1. There's some cracking games there, but across the board in WXV, there's some brilliant games. So enjoy those. Take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.